Bruss has been, working at guard before he got injured.
Uh-huh.
Do you see him there permanently for this season? Or
No, I just think he has flexibility, and really the idea was to start him out at guard and then last couple of weeks go to tackle. I wanted everyone to have a vision where they could be a starter, and there's probably about 8 guys, 9 guys that really expressed in their vision statement that that's what they wanted to accomplish. They wanted to be out there starting, and so, and to do that, you got some flexibility. David Moorman could play guard, he could play tackle. Same thing with Bruss. I got a few guys that could play center as well as guard or flip side. So those just give them some more opportunities to hit the field.
Do you have an idea of what your best 5 is right now?
You know what, I'm getting there, but I wouldn't say. We got 2 weeks of spring ball left, and I think we got to it maybe the last day of the last couple practices of spring ball the one year with moving Dieter out the left tackle, and I think with a couple guys out it'll take a little bit of time, but I'm just really looking for these guys to compete. I want to see who wants it. I don't know that. I'd say the guy that's having the best spring so far is David Moorman. Is busting his butt, man, and he's the one guy to me that's kind of saying I want this, and there's a lot more time left, so we'll see. We'll see how it continues.
What have we seen from Lyles now that he's back at probably a more comfortable position?
He's doing good. He's knocking the rust off. You know what I mean? And the hardest thing for him, which I go back and forth, am I being fair with him, is we need him to play some center this spring, and we need him to play guard. And going against our defense with the number of variations that we see, that's not easy. You know what I mean? But he is progressing. He's progressing well. Every once in a while, you get a little bit lost in the sauce because there's so much going on. You kind of forget about, you get to who I have and what my assignment is, but you forget a little bit with technique. But I have been really impressed at what he's been able to handle to this point, and he's competing his tail off for one of those spots.
Logan Brown is obviously not here yet, but
Correct.
You've recruited him, you've seen his film. Do you anticipate that someone who's a true freshman can come into fall camp on the offensive line and make the 2 deep? Is that a stretch even for someone as talented?
Well, I think when you say make the 2 deep, I think that's always possible. Tyler Biadic was one that came in, and he was about to play as we traveled to Iowa as a true freshman, and we got Dietz back off of, he goes, I can play, Dietz is the best, I miss him. He played, and it kind of saved Tyler's red shirt, but he was easily in the 2 deep that year. And so absolutely someone can compete and get in the 2 deep. Will they get over the hump and make that happen? I don't know, but with the numbers we have, there's no reason why anyone, the 2 young men that are walking in the door will get reps. So they'll have an opportunity.
You're going to have 4 new starters on the line, obviously. Do you like, with the group that you have, do you feel like this is a group that can play to that level of the guys last year that obviously had so many accolades? Do you feel that's achievable?
Yeah, I don't know yet. You know what I mean? To be honest, I'm not sure. I do look at Cole as though he's a returning starter. I do, and I know he didn't start many games, maybe 1, right? But I do look at him that way because of the number of reps he did play in big situations and the way he competed. So, but I think there's a lot of question marks still, and good question marks. Like as long as guys are growing and competing to fill those shoes. Bruss was 3 starts at the end of the year. I kind of look at him as a guy that has been out there in that situation now, finding the best spot for him. Caden has started some games on the other side of the ball, coming back and doing that. But guys like Seltzner, you know what I mean? A guy like Erdman who's played a lot of ball. So there's good, and a guy like Moorman who's played a lot and has been around, but really starting to put it together, which is pretty awesome. So I think we got great competition along with Beach at tackle, and it's a good group. But I can't tell you if we'll reach that level or not. I just don't know yet.
How many guys do you want to have prepared to be able to play center if injuries strike? Or
it's a good question.
Tyler,
I guess the one thing I didn't anticipate is, we worked Caden at center a bunch, but Caden was moved to center his senior year of high school, but didn't have a long history of center behind that. Then he played, then he didn't play O-line at all. So that's probably where he's the rustiest, where he feels more comfortable being at guard right now. I like that I have Ertz can go in at center. He's done that role before and done an outstanding job of jumping into games and finishing games out. And then we'll see. David Moorman has been that kind of emergency guy for us. Him and Micah both held that role last year.
What kind of growth have you seen from Nikhil Watson? Do you feel like he's doing a pretty good job this spring?
Yeah, you know, we missed him these last few practices, but we had that first scrimmage, man. And the thing I wanted to see it to Nikia, you know, the opportunity that's open is really what Taiwan brought to us last year. You know, that physical presence that goes in the game, and not just physical, but like the whole game. You know what I mean? Taiwan affected the game from special teams, affected the games when he got into the game on offense and carried it. He brought a physical presence to his protections. So Nikia showed that in the scrimmage, but kind of need to kind of keep seeing it. So I think him and Isaac Garendo having great competition. Brady Shipper showed up last scrimmage and played his tail off. So I think there's some really good young backs that those three, especially as young guys, have each really flashed, but looking for someone to kind of grab a hold of it.
Where's Jack Cohn taking the next steps that you feel like you need to see for someone with his experience at the quarterback spot?
I tell you, I really like how the QBs have responded. I thought Bud's done a great job with them. I think where he's grown is that he's just doing a great job of leading those guys, like helping them. You know, like he's spending as much time teaching Graham as he is working with Woofy and working with Boomer. You know, like he cares about them, and I think that's making him feel stronger and better about his position and his role. So I like that, and I know I didn't bring up something on the field, but I do think that affects you when you're in that huddle and the confidence that you have. So I've really liked that about him this spring.
Along those lines, backup quarterbacks or backup running backs always say, I prepare to be the starter if there's someone, a veteran in front of them. But we all know that sometimes that preparation isn't as sharp as when you know that guy's gone.
Right.
Have you seen any change in Jack in that regard? With Alex gone and now everything more?
That would be the main thing that I've seen. I think he's just been comfortable. I think I'm seeing a little bit more of Jack's personality now. Like you know what I mean? Like, cause it is different, right? Like you're really behind someone else, and you want to be the biggest supporter that you can and getting yourself ready. But now I think he's comfortable just being him. And I do see some of these things from him that really I think is lending towards his confidence. You know, like when you feel comfortable talking about something and helping guys, and when you got that type of confidence about yourself, like it's lending to his development. So I do think he prepares different, but I also think he handles himself different.
We've seen a lot of early enrollees, quarterback-wise, here these last few years. I think does it seem like Graham's a little bit further along than other guys that have come in early?
You know what? It's always hard to say. The biggest thing I could say about it is, like, I love where Graham is at. Like, he's competing his tail off. He's making plays when the opportunities are there. And you know what? That whole group, I don't remember. I think I was just talking to Johnny about it, and I said, yeah, I don't remember where like all four guys you feel like could go into the game and you know what you would get. They would be themselves. They would compete. You know what I mean? Like that huddle would have confidence in them when they're speaking, and they would have a hold of it. So I think it's a compliment to him and that group. So I think they are. I think they're really coming along.
With Danny and Chase in particular, you know, a lot of attention, at least on the outside, was focused on Jack and Graham. What do you notice about those two guys, and do they just sort of not pay attention to the hype and the things that come with some of the other guys in that quarterback?
I think they do, and that's the neat part is they're all kind of being themselves. They're different, right? I mean, Chase gets in and he does some things. He pulls the ball and takes off, and he gets out of the pocket and delivers one. And Boomer is really steady and will make plays. But I think they're all confident, kind of being their own guy. And every one of those guys, including Woofy and Boomer, have really gone in and executed at times really well. So I think they've all flashed, but in the end, we're looking for consistency, like who can be the best play in and play out. But they've all done some things to really show their growth.
Time for a couple more guys. You guys, in 2016, when you had Bart and Alex, you guys made that work using two quarterbacks. I mean, one as a starter, then another, and then using both in a game. What's the key to having two guys maybe close and making it work from game to game, week to week?
Yeah, I think it takes guys that really care a lot about the team, and they're really humble in nature. So probably the guy that could have got bowed up then would have been Bart, right? And Bart, you know, I'm sure he didn't love coming out, but you know, he just competed. You know what I mean? And when it was his opportunity, he went, and when it wasn't his opportunity, he was doing everything he could from the sideline to. And you know what? You got to give him. You got to really respect that. So that's what would make it work.
It's very. Go ahead.
I can kind of go. In terms of Tyler, I know that you've mentioned a lot of leadership when you're talking about Jack and stuff like that. And Tyler's kind of the heir apparent, I guess, on the line when you talk about leadership. And I've seen him, you know, these last couple practices, even though he can't physically be there, but he's like helping guys out, kind of really embracing that. Do you see that in his personality at all too? Just
I do.
that?
I think he's. I think we got some. I think we got some guys that are really good leaders. You know, on offense as well as on defense. Guys like Chris Orr, guys like Grosh, guys like Tyler. You got Senior and AJ Taylor, like Jack showing that. But Tyler is kind of one of those guys that just works. You know, and I think guys watch him and they respect that. And what he couples that with is I think he's got a genuine interest in his teammates. You know, and he seeks them out, and if he can lend a good word or notice something or help them or just he's a really good person that cares about this program, and I think that's why guys listen to him and follow him.
Joe, it's very rare that a true freshman quarterback ever plays at Wisconsin. Just kind of how it's gone over the years. As a staff, did you guys have any reservations doing that, or do you evaluate this as it's not about grade? It's, you know, if you're the best player, then
yeah.
that's what matters the most.
I think, you know, I don't know the history at every position like that, but obviously we had guys that did make big impacts like James White or Chris Borland as true freshmen, and I think that can happen at any position.